Going? Okay, this is the process of photosynthesis. It happens in the thylakoid of plant cell, the chloroplast of plant cells. These little discs are called thylakoids. The liquid that surrounds them is called the stroma. These are water molecules, and I'll tell you what these other parts are when we come to them. But anyway, light energy comes in, it hits the electrons that are on the surface of the thylakoids, and it excites the electrons that are sitting there. Those excited electrons jump and fall, and as they fall, they get work done. One of the things that they do is they break water molecules into H's and O's. So here's a water molecule, 2 H's and O. I break all of those bonds with the falling electrons. And so I've got some broken water here, and I always have to know what to do with all of those pieces. The oxygen is released as a byproduct. The hydrogen is picked up by an H acceptor called NADP. NADP on my poster is sitting here. NADP comes, picks up the hydrogens, and it becomes NADPH. And I keep doing this, just breaking more and more water until I've got 12 NADPHs. And so here are my 12 NADPH. These are just hydrogens picked up by NADPH. And I'm going to set those over here, and I'll show you what happens with them in the Calvin cycle. Additionally, I use the energy from the falling electrons to charge some batteries, and we know that batteries in our cells means ATPs. And to charge an ATP, what I have to do is I take adenosine diphosphate and I attach one more phosphate, making it adenosine triphosphate. And so dead batteries are becoming charged batteries here in photosynthesis. So now I've got adenosine triphosphate. So dead batteries become charged batteries with the help of the light reaction. Those falling electrons give us the energy to charge up those batteries. I keep doing that until I have 18 charged batteries that I will use. Now, I'm not going to use these models anymore. I'm just going to tell you about the ATPs that are going to get used right here. And once they're used, then they're ADPs again. They go back to the light reaction, they get charged up, and they become ATPs. So here I go. Now I'm done with the light reaction. I got rid of oxygen, I used water, broke it apart, I saved the H's, got rid of the O's, and I charged up a bunch of ATPs, and I'll show you how the ATPs are going to get used here. Calvin cycle, here we come. These 3 chains are 5 carbons each, and I'm going to refer to them as Rubisco, a 5-carbon chain. And the Rubiscos are going to come by the top of the Calvin cycle, and they're each going to pick up 1 more carbon from carbon dioxide in the air. So this is the spot where plants use carbon dioxide. Rubisco binds with carbon from carbon dioxide. Rubisco binds with carbon from carbon dioxide. Rubisco picks up 1 more carbon from carbon dioxide. And now instead of having 3 chains of 5 carbons each, I have 3 chains of 6 carbons each. This spot on the Calvin cycle reminds me I'm going to use some of that energy, the ATPs that I just got done making. And that energy is used to break apart or rearrange those 5 carbon chains. And so there we have it. Now instead of having 3 chains of 6 carbons each, I've got 3 chains of 5 carbons each. Now I'm going to use those hydrogens that I collected when I broke water molecules apart. 6 hydrogens from broken water molecules are going to bind with one of those 3 carbon chains, and they go out of the Calvin cycle. It's really a half a sugar right there. I'll tell you more about that later. But those 5 3-carbon chains continue on around. When they get to this spot in the Calvin cycle, energy again, ATPs of energy are used to rearrange those carbon chains so that now I have 3 chains of 5 carbons each. What did I do? Oh, I used one of my carbons from carbon dioxide. Here we go. Now I have Rubisco again. Here we go again. Twice around the Calvin cycle. Here's Rubisco, a 5-carbon chain. Rubisco picks up 1 more carbon from carbon dioxide. Rubisco picks up 1 more carbon from carbon dioxide. Rubisco picks up 1 more carbon from carbon dioxide. And now we have 3 chains of 6 carbons each. 6 ATPs of energy break those chains in half. Remember, once an ATP gets used, it's not ATP anymore, it is ADP. And the adenosine diphosphate goes back to the light reaction, gets another phosphate, becomes adenosine triphosphate, so we can use it over here. I have 6 chains of 3 carbons each. 6 H's supplied from my broken water molecules. My NADP throws its H's onto one of those chains and out of the cycle it goes. Now I have 2 half sugars sitting there. These chains continue on around. 3 more ATPs of energy. Pow! Hit those chains, rearrange them into chains of 5. That's Rubisco. That's where we started. I've gone through the Calvin cycle twice. I used 6, 3, 6, 3, a total of 18 ATPs. I used 6 and 6 more H's. That's a total of 12 H's that I collected from the light reaction. And now I've got 2 half sugars. Brace yourself for the dramatic conclusion. A little dehydration reaction happens, pulls those 2 half sugars together, and I just made glucose.
Glucose. Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, now, do you want me to go through the other side?
Sure. Okay.